Have you ever wondered why a simple comment can ruin your whole day? Or this lingering remark within the mind, it could just stay in your mind for weeks. Why do we take things personally? And how can we be better? How can we just not take things so personal? What's up, everyone? My name is Morcie. I'm here as a spiritual teacher and guide. And today we're going to be diving into a topic that has been on my mind. Has come to me to share with you because it's something that I've been experiencing and intentions that I set for myself. Just whenever it arises, I'm like, oh, why does this happen? I know I'm not the only one, right? But before we get started, be sure you give this video a like down below, show it some love, show this channel some love by giving it a like. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn on those post notifications so you're reminded each time a video is posted. From reaction to response, less attachment, and more authentic responses. Powerful. Powerful. It's so interesting how teaching formally in this way, it's been a huge part of my own evolution, to be honest. The evolution of my consciousness, my spiritual journey. I mean, maybe not surprising to some, but continuously being in this space where I'm sharing, channeling, one may say, allowing these messages to flow through me. The energy, it resonates through my entire body. This is why it's so important to be very careful of what you say, right? Because it becomes you in certain ways. And what I'm sharing here is that through my teaching, this practice, the mastering of a skill, one may say, right? Whoa, sorry about that if you guys heard that in the audio. It's allowed me to recognize and see the ego for what it is. And recognize, okay, this is an example of when something is being taken personally. When something's being taken personally, that is the false sense of self. It feels attacked. It feels less valued, a lower self-worth. That's why when a certain comment triggers us, it's not triggering your truest essence. It's just triggering who you think you are. And so this is why I share this powerful practice of peaceful pausing. A brief moment of calm, alert awareness. Because in that brief moment, we give ourselves the opportunity to step away from who we thought we were. The idea of who we're supposed to be, this need to prove ourselves. We can be more intentional about the moment. Be more intentional about how we respond, not attached, right? You hear me say identity. Identity is just any aspect of ourselves, of the self with the lowercase s, of the of our personality that we get so attached to, right? I bring this up a lot because I notice it within the collective, right? This need to feel like you're a good person. So if something begins to threaten the idea that you're not a good person, then there's a trigger. That trigger could be anxiety, it could be fear, or it could be getting upset. Often, sometimes you don't even allow yourself to be honest with others, right? People pleasing. So therefore, there's not an authenticity in the way you engage with those around you, in this fear and this need of ensuring that you are continuously seen as a good person. Even that is ego, right? Spiritual ego is a thing as well. This idea of I'm spiritual. This is how a spiritual person should be. Always love and light, kindness. It's too much thinking. It's not enough allowing just being. And so it's easy in that space to take things personally. Not allowing yourself to make a mistake, perhaps. Just the fear of whatever it might be, right? Needing to prove yourself. When you choose presence, there's nothing to prove. There's not an identity to protect. There's just being. If you watch my videos, you are used to that quote, you're used to that phrase, you get it. It's a great reminder. It points us back into presence. It points us into presence. It allows us to honor our truest self. I think a misconception too that I really like to highlight here, right, is that as we awaken, the ego dissolves, right? So when the ego weeps for what it has lost, spirit rejoices for what it has found. And so as we awaken, there's this misconception that we lose our sense of self, that I wouldn't say sense of self, we lose our personality. We lose our uniqueness. There's this, that you just become this emotionless being that doesn't want anything, doesn't strive, no goals, yada yada. It's just it's a stereotype that was made, perhaps seen, perhaps projected into your world. It's not to say that doesn't exist, but it's not necessarily true. You don't lose your sense of self. You're just not attached to it. You're not attached to a particular identity. And to be honest, what's coming up now is that you not being attached, it actually allows you to just step into other aspects of life and try new things, step into new perspectives. Not being attached to the belief or being attached to the perspective, but just stepping in and experiencing it. Expanding your awareness in different parts of life. And as we do this, allowing ourselves to expand, not being attached to an identity, we find that we're not taking things so personally. You see, as the ego begins to dissolve, we don't feel attacked, but more we may find that what someone has said is insightful. Perhaps it's like, oh yeah, didn't think about it that way. Or maybe it's just neutral. Okay. Just neutral. It becomes either neutral, it becomes insightful. It's not about you. It's not about the identity that you are attached to, the identity that you are trying to uphold. So with this decrease with having less personal attachments, you're allowing yourselves liberation, freedom. No one can control your emotions. Nothing can control your emotions. No event can control your emotions, right? It may not be just a remark that someone says, but it can also be an event that happens or an event that has not happened. We may look at life and be like, life, why hasn't this manifested in the way that I intended? You might take it personal. Feel a little bit resentment. And then identifying with that resentment. You recognize that you're not taking life so seriously. The problems that arise, not taking it so seriously. I do acknowledge that there's moments when it's difficult, right? I mentioned that quote, powerful quote, when the ego weeps for what it has lost, spirit rejoices for what it has found. When that ego is weeping, it hurts. We don't notice contentment or joy. Holding on to that attachment. Ego wants so bad. It's trying to live. It's trying to hold on. Whatever identity it's trying to hold on, it is not you. The idea of that good person, it is not you. The idea of a bad person, it is not you. As I share this, don't get attached to the words, right? It's just a pointer to presence. You are the space in which everything rises and falls. All events rise and fall. Problems rise and fall. Challenges rise and fall. Emotions rise and fall. Thoughts rise and fall. People rise and fall. You are the space around it, within it, before it, after it. Kind of get it? And often, once again, there could be a fear that arises with that. I created a video that taps into that. So I'll put the link right here, right? How we could feel fear of, I thought this is who I always was, right? Often we recognize that as we awaken, we're so used to being identified by a problem. Perhaps society has told you you have a problem, some aspect of who you are, an innate aspect of who you are you didn't choose, whether it be a part of your culture, your race, your gender, what have you. Society may have said, you have a problem. And so now that has become your identity. It's just the ego. It's nothing to be afraid of, nothing to say, it's wrong. Listen, the moment you make the ego an enemy, you're just strengthening the ego. The ego is not an enemy. Just notice it, a gentle observation. In that moment, you transcend it. It's not about permanently transcending anything. It's not about how long it takes, right? All of that is of the thinking mind. A peaceful pause is enough to transcend thought. It's enough to transcend the ego. In that moment, that is enough. In that moment, you're back in recognition of space. No longer do you take events personally, what someone says personally, a thought that arises within your mind personally, an emotion personally. In that moment, it dissolves. In that moment, you are free. In that moment, you can move and work through the energy that is flowing through your body, allowing it and receiving it as it is. That is key. That is key to less attachments. That is key to authentic responses. Whatever arises in that moment of calm, alert awareness, is what you might share. Perhaps it's gentle, perhaps it's a bit direct, perhaps it's gentle and direct, whatever arises. At least you're doing so in a conscious way, rather than it being on autopilot, rather than all of these emotions, tension arising within your body, all of this energy needing to project out, right? There's a conscious awareness, and within that, it's a powerful spiritual practice. So just know this, right? Whenever we take something personal, it's not our truest essence. It's just attachment to an identity. Attachment to who we think we're supposed to be. So when you take a peaceful pause, You give yourself to the opportunity to let go, no longer needing to prove yourself or protect anything, so that you can respond in an authentic way, respond in a conscious way. You're not losing your personality or your sense of self. You're just letting go of attachment. And this is how we allow ourselves to play in this world of form, to be human. Like down below if you've experienced that, you've noticed this. Like down below if you resonate with this message. If you enjoyed this, do check out my free ebook, Peaceful Pauses, The Calm Beyond the Overstimulated Mind. It introduces this powerful practice that I've shared with you. And it introduces you to a couple practices that you can invite into your life so that you can recognize the ego, recognize this attachment, so that you can invite presence into your life, whether it be through heart-centeredness. Powerful practice. For me, myself, heart-centeredness has allowed me to transcend old emotional wounds, attachment to an identity, attachment to any need to be like, oh, I'm a spiritual teacher. No, heart-centeredness there. Presence, baby. Pure consciousness. And being with purpose, right? So I dive into 7 powerful topics. And then if you enjoy that ebook, then check out my course, Peaceful Pauses for the Overstimulated Mind, a meditation course. I take you along a journey. 7 inspirational messages and 7 guided meditations, each of these topics that you were introduced to in the ebook. This gives you a more hands-on approach, depth in recognizing your truest essence, honoring your truest essence, less attachment to form and more awareness of the formless. Noticing life as a meditation. It's a powerful course, and I feel much gratitude to be able to share it with you. If you find that you resonate with this, and you're opening to deepening this practice, this course is for you. I like to remind you that anytime you choose to pause, to notice, anytime, any moment you transcend the ego, transcend attachment, thought, you are helping in the evolution of human consciousness. You are a part of it. You're helping others heal just through your stillness, your spaciousness and silence, just through your choice to shift from reaction to response, reaction to stillness, reaction to being. So thank you for being here, and I honor your journey. Once again, my name is Morcie. Make sure you like down below, comment down below, subscribe to this channel. I'm sending you peace. I'm sending you love, wholeness.